Hello, everyone, and welcome to Africanity Love's review of African Business Bootcamp 2018, which we attended, what was it, New York?
No.
New York, what were the dates? It was March 10th and 11th, the weekend of March 10th and 11th, hosted by the lovely, beautiful Dr. Harnet, who's the co-author of a book called 101 Ways to Make Money in Africa.
Jumpstart. She's also the founder of African Business Jumpstart.
We are.
We're co-founders of Africanity Love.
Stop being so robotic. Relax. Hey, yeah, see? Just laugh and smile. We are the co-founders of Africanity Love.
Okay, we definitely have different working styles, which is very obvious. But anyways, thanks for joining us. We are we're doing this video because there's been a lot of people who've asked us questions about Africa Business Bootcamp, which we went to March 10th and 11th in New York, and asking about what was it, what did you learn, who was there, what happened. I know we've been promoting it as Africanity Love for a while through our email and our Facebook channels, and so we actually were fortunate enough to partner with Dr. Harnet to promote as well as to be there and be there live in the flesh for 2 days, full workshops, 8 hours a day, and a lot of wonderful information. So
a lot of wonderful people too.
Yeah, so we really can't do it justice to fully give you all the details because you just had to be there. But we can just give you some highlights in our experience and really encourage you to attend the one next year, which the dates are yet to be announced.
Yeah, so I guess one of my highlights, one of the things that impressed me the most was being in the presence of so many people from, most of them were from the U.S. A couple of people I think attended from maybe Canada. We had a couple of attendees from Canada, but some of the places I remember people being from. Alabama was in the building, Florida was in the building. Who else?
Well, if you go to Africanity Love Facebook page, which some of you may be seeing this through, and you look at the video, we actually did a video, Honey did a video of the whole group that came together at the very end, and he was able to spotlight and do some one-on-one interviews. So check that out to get a sense of some other people who are there and their reviews.
Correct. And I think represented, you had the Caribbean islands represented. You had, of course, Ghana, brothers and sisters, a married couple from Ghana, Sierra Leone, Nigeria. Always, anytime you talk about African diaspora, there's going to be somebody from Nigeria there, of course, right? Representing. Hey, what you doing? What you doing?
So, my turn. Okay, so. Stop.
No, I'll be.
Okay, we only have a short amount of time to give this information to you. It's a lot of good stuff, so I'm just going to go straight into the nitty-gritty, which is the main thing that really brought people out, I believe, was the question of, do you want to have a business in Africa, or do you want to have investment opportunities in Africa, or do you want a combination of both? And one thing that I took away from this 2-day workshop was the importance of being very specific and focusing on your market and your industry. So if you are in the diaspora and you're like, you know what, I would love to do business in Africa one day, or I would love to invest, be very clear on what that means, right? As far as what country would you want to do it in, and what would be your business model.
And this is something that Dr. Harnet has great insight on, and she provides that information as far as like which countries are the safest to do business with, and to minimize the risk that you'll take. A lot of times when you talk about investing and doing business in Africa, people will say, oh, no, you can't trust these people. So with her experience, she helps you work through that process.
Yeah, she does a really good job of shaping and mapping out what are some low risk versus high risk, and also low opportunity versus high opportunity business markets. And she did a really great job at going through what she calls a 7-step blueprint, winning business in Africa blueprint. She goes through step by step everything you need to know about industry, market selection, about mitigating your risk, about creating your products, connecting with the right people, positioning yourself, and marketing. And she does a great job really just kind of breaking down a lot of that, which for me, I left feeling very full of information, but at the same time, I left feeling like, man, I really need to go back and read my notes and go through everything and create a very clear plan. And one thing that we did to really take action is we joined
the academy. And that's another thing. So at a lot of conferences you go, you get information, and you're excited, you're riled up at the conference. Your enthusiasm is you're really enthusiastic about the opportunities and the information you receive. She takes it a step further and actually gives you action steps which you can take in order to, I guess, bring your vision and your business into reality, to realize it. So it's not just something that's in something that you're thinking about, is something that you're actually doing. She shows you how to do that.
Yeah, and what stood out for me too was that on day 2, the beginning of the day, she started off with focusing on mindset and understanding how business development connects with personal development, which I thought was so important, because a lot of times we got, some folks who are in their business and they're growing their business, but their personal development is all jacked up or doesn't have any attention and focus. And then you got some other people who are so focused on the personal side of things that their business is going down the drain. So it's so important, especially if you're interested in building your business, entrepreneurship, and development when it comes to your economy, as far as your household and your business, is thinking about how those two connect, right? Your personal and your business, your personal development and your business development. And so she did a great job of really emphasizing the importance of having the right mindset, understanding how your mind operates, visualizing, meditation, using practices and tools that are going to help you not to self-sabotage your business and not to undermine the growth of your business, and know that you're worthy and that you deserve it. And one thing I was really excited about is towards the end of the conference, we had a chance to meet with a brother who is a psychologist by training, and we hope to bring him on in the near future in a webinar series. And he focused a lot about the mind, and he works with folks about having an abundance mindset, and really, really great principles, because a lot of times we don't realize we can have great opportunities in front of us, but we don't either know how to identify it or we can't seize it because we have our mind and our mental blocks. So that was a great piece I think she talked about on day 2.
Yeah. And also too, definitely the reason why I see this as being important, that it's important to me, because we watch Black Panther, we talk about Wakanda, we talk about Black empowerment, we talk about social justice, but my view, my thought, my process is that in order to affect change at all, we have to empower ourselves economically, through business, through owning markets, controlling markets, dominating markets. I said it, we dominate markets, we're capable of it. So it's just about being intentional about it. These are the things that make me interested in, business, and business cross diaspora, if that's a proper term to use, where we're doing business, we're taking money from wherever you're at in the diaspora and investing in Africa. We're exchanging, whether we're doing, like you said earlier, whether we're doing business where we're located in the world, like if, for instance, we're here in the Americas, if we're doing business here when we're importing products and selling them here on the market, or whether you decide to actually go to Africa and open up a business and do business on the continent itself. We have to really if we want to see change, we have to be intentional and empower ourselves financially.
Not only that, I think too, we need to believe that we can. Sometimes we undermine or you stunt our own growth because deep down inside our core values, we don't deserve it. I don't deserve it, or I can't ask for that much money because that's too much for me, or I'm just barely trying to get by. So getting out of the survival mentality as people of African descent, as Black people, I think we've got to get out of that to know that we are at our highest, fullest potential when our mindset is that of abundance and not lack.
And also too, one of the key things, excuse me, I lost my train of thought. If you keep continuing, I'll come back to it.
And so the mindset is so important. That's why, for me personally, I'm very particularly interested on mindset and how that affects business, focusing on abundance, feeding your mind the right thoughts, not sharing your vision or your goals, your business with people who can't handle it, and because they have limited beliefs and thinking, so they limit you. So you got to be very protective of your business, of your idea, of the moves you're trying to make. And then one thing I want to focus on that really resonated with me from the conference too is the importance. And it's interesting. I actually posted this on my Facebook about 2 days or so before we went. And this is how I knew it was confirmation too to be there. About 2 days before we went to New York, I posted, because I forgot, I think I read it, or it was something that came up. It came up for me.
She posted, don't focus.
So what I said was, I said, look, now you got me losing my train of thought. Okay, what I said was, I said, focus on your what and be led by your why, but don't spend too much time on your how. And when you do that, you'll be closer to the path you're supposed to be on. Because a lot of times we're like, oh, how am I going to start that business? And how am I going to go to Africa? And how am I going to do this business? How am I going to do this investment? Because of whatever reasons you think you can't do it. But instead of focusing on how, focus on why. Why do I want to do this? Like, what wakes me up in the morning? What makes me excited? And then what is it? Be specific, think big, dream big, and then plan accordingly. Because anything is possible. You just got to believe it and then work towards it.
Yeah, and it's also key that to realize and know that while diaspora, African Americans, and people from Africa, from across the diaspora, are kind of like hands off with investing in Africa, you have Europeans and Asians flocking for the opportunities to invest and do business on the continent, and unless we partake and get involved, we're gonna miss out.
And with that, I would say for me personally, I don't worry too much about what everybody else is doing or not doing.
She's the boss.
It's not about necessarily that. It's not what are this other community or this culture or this ethnic group doing or not doing. Is what do we need to be doing? Because it's so important for people of the diaspora to focus our conversation about us. We center the conversation around our needs. We focus on the conversation on our benefits and stop trying to be comparing to this one and that one. We focus on what our strengths are, leverage our gifts, collectively empower each other, and say, you know what, I have a business idea, I want to partner with you, or I have this vision, I'm thinking about working together, and how can we bring our strengths to the table? One thing, I had a personal example. I was connecting with a sister who we worked together on a bartering kind of relationship, which was great. She braided my hair, and I helped with her marketing strategy. And it was like, how can I take what I do well and you take what you do well and we swap it and we support each other and, focusing on our strengths and not so much about what we don't have or what we're not doing, and understand the power of positioning ourselves in the area of strength and asset-based mindset. We have to be careful how we talk about ourselves and how we think and talk about each other. That's so key in anything that we do.
Agreed.
So don't get me on my soapbox. I'll stay on this forever.
Yeah. So definitely, we encourage we encourage anyone that's interested in this type of work and doing business, on the continent, off the continent, or with the continent, to look into Dr. Harnet's African Business Bootcamp or African Business Jumpstart Academy. She's doing her thing. Like I say, we have living legends amongst us, and I count her as one of them.
Yeah, she's amazing. Dr. Harnet's great. We want to continue to do some work with her in the future. We recently had Anwar Bay Taylor. We interviewed him in our more recent webinar. We have a continuation of our webinar series happening every other month, focusing on identifying first a person in the diaspora, African diaspora, who is either in business, tech, or any sort of thought leadership, and connecting with them and bringing them on our webinar, asking them about their projects and connecting, because we're very intentional about sharing our stories and empowering one another in the process.
Yeah, and with that, you can find us. Our first webinar was actually featuring Dr. Harnet. She was the guest on our first webinar. And you can find us on YouTube, Africanity Love, Facebook, and Instagram. If you want to stay in touch, also log into our website, africanitylove.com, and sign up for our newsletters.
Yeah, make sure you're on that mailing list, so that way you can get updated on what's happening. And then also I wanted to point out too that we, of course, Hanif said earlier, there's a lot of buzz around Wakanda and Wakanda forever, and all this type of stuff.
And listen, just for the record, it doesn't mean much. Even it's not a bandwagon thing. We didn't see Black Panther and then all of a sudden decide, oh, this is an opportunity. We actually started this business last year, 2017, and our first event was we did a preview of a documentary called Bound, African versus African American. And the director Perez,
Owino.
She actually came and was able to attend. So we are sincere, about the work.
Yeah, that was a great event. It just reminded us of the need to do more work like that. And so we want to continue to create opportunities where we can come together, share what's happening among the diaspora, empower one another. And as regarding Wakanda, the reason I brought that up is because we want to have a discussion about the film and really unpack it the conversation go many different ways, but we want to be able to bring together some folks in the Bay Area and have some discussion around that. So look out for more information. Details coming soon.
Peace.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
All right. Peace out. Right, check us out. We'll see you on the other side.
Africanity Love, living right here in the flesh.
Africanitylove.com.